Little River Band. Woo! Gotta love it, folks. Hello, how are y'all? Good to see you on Prosperity Monday. Second day of the week. So, yeah, might as well make it prosperous, right? But anyway, thank you for tuning in. Hey, there I am. Steiger, you're looking good. Like that color on you, dude. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. And it works just about that away too, doesn't it? I love time travel. If this is not an exercise in magic, I don't know what really is and what isn't on that case. But and I can see that. Oh, the things with YouTube. Do you know that YouTube took another one of my videos down because they said they thought, they didn't say it was, but yeah, YouTube, come on, this is like a Minority Report. That ain't right. You can't penalize someone for something that didn't exist 5 years ago. That's Orwellian, and wow, you need to be on the right side of the spiritual equation, YouTube. That's all I got to tell you. So, welcome everybody. How are y'all doing? Hello, chat room. What's up? Hello, Red Honey. Good to see you. And John and CJ. And hello to Alaska Anchorage, I believe. Welcome. Gaia, much love to you. I was going to say something, and then the thought went, nah, maybe I'll just, anyway. Good to see you, Paul. Pengreedy, hello, Rick. Michelle, what's up, Jarko? Nina, good to see you, darling. So, happy Monday. Speak favor over us all. Nothing missing, nothing broken. Words. Man, words are magic. Flat out. Without them, there isn't any magic. That's how it is. I put the question out there, and I am curious, chat room, since y'all are there. Hey, go all the way from Croatia. Good to see. Man, is the chat room just like doing this? It's like, hello. I can't read that fast. Words are magic, guy. They are. I put the question out. How satisfied are you with your life? It's a legit question. It's one you can answer in a manner that isn't too personal, but so on a scale of, let's say, 1 to 5, 1 being least satisfied, 5 being the most satisfied, where would you put yourself? And I always think this, from year to year, has your life improved? Has it improved from the last year? Because if that's what the purpose is, see, I think there's so many, I guess there's so many different potential perspectives. I love the graphic I used on this. So thoughts become perception. Perception becomes what? Reality. And what frames that is words. We're going to get back into the whole magic thing. This is something that I have all weekend. I spent just an enormous amount of time. Back in my religion, we had a term for this. It's when the rhema of the logos falls upon you. And from there, revelation knowledge is birthed forth. And don't get all butthurt if your revelation knowledge isn't someone else's. I mean, many times those epiphanies, those downloads that we call them, no matter what you term, you're plugging into something. I mean, I see it as this conduit, and it's visceral, and it coalesces into energy, and I think it's where creativity lies. Just me. Hey, Jackie, what's up? Good to see you. Flight Risk, good to see you. Robert V, how are you doing? Bonnie and So it's all connected by words, and words are power bombs is what I call them. And so the question is, how satisfied are you? Are you a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Where are you? And if you're not, why are you not satisfied? What is it that you're not? Hey, Cass, much love to you, darling. um if you're around, Cass, tomorrow, you can come on with uh Trina and Jenny if you want. Love to have you. John Price, what's up? Lori, hello. So what's the issue? Why aren't you, fully satisfied? I have this little thing here, and it says, see, I got signs everywhere. Signs are important. I told you about the national Christmas tree, a live tree dying, and at the point of where it died that day, the tree at the White House fell down. Oh, crap. But yeah, I got signs, everywhere. Constant. How many of you remember the video we did on It Works? I still have my list. 7 out of the 10 things that I put on that list almost 2 years ago, 7 of the 10 have come into reality. That ain't bad. If I was going into Vegas, I'd take those odds. You see, the thing about entrepreneurship, you learn, you become risk adverse. In other words, taking a risk isn't a big deal. Doesn't scare me. Well, you could lose it all. I have gotten it back too. Doesn't scare me. That's only in this reality. And if you learn how to use that energy, no matter what it throws at you, it can't touch you. I mean, the world right now has become a sewer. There's no good news anywhere. I'm just telling you. But let me finish out the thought. Here's the thing I have right here. Leave fully satisfied. You can still have the life you always wanted. It is never too late. Find your desire. Find what makes you happy. Do you know that this is a fact? The vast majority of people do not know how to be happy. Hey, Joe, imagine that. Do the man on the street thing. I mean, back in my video days, we did some wild stuff, but doing the on-street interview, and I mean, let me ask the chat room. Hey, Mark, good to see you, Lady Ellie. So she says, turtles make her happy. So what does make you happy? Seriously, what makes you happy? And the thing about it is, if you don't know what makes you happy, how the hell are you going to know if you ever found it? You don't know. And to think you go through life, and most people sadly never get it. And if you're not fully satisfied, then you wasted your life. I mean, seriously, if you leave lacking, that's your fault. Changing your reality one word at a time. That's what we're going to focus in on. Because magic works. And I don't know, like I said, this weekend, the Rama, that light, it opens up into your essence, and you just start writing. And, I realize, even though I left Christianity, again, I've said this ad nauseum, that it taught me magic. And now that I look at it, it taught me why to believe in magic. The religion hijacked it. But if you can strip the religion out, there is a wealth here that will transcend to every realm you go in from this one. Look at the dichotomy. So and Nathan Bradishek, this is probably one of the most, if there's a book that really is a no bullshit, if you want to really do the loosing and binding, and if you really want to tap in to these entities that exist, and I contend they do exist, this is a heavy, heavy book. And, it's a Lesser Keys of Solomon, which brings to the whole point. Well, if this is about what Solomon knew, I mean, you think about it. Solomon used the demons to build the temple of Yahweh. Does anyone get the irony in that? Now, how the hell did that work? And he was human. Well, how did that work? Well, I contend if Solomon, if he ever lived, there's no proof either way, that he understood something. He understood words. He understood that magic was altering reality. That's all magic is. So that book is no different than this book. This book, if you can strip out all the bullshit, wow. I mean, it will fucking change your life. You just have to sometimes be honest with yourself. Yeah. Was Solomon meaning keys like a musical melody? Now, that's an interesting, words are frequencies, vibration. Who knows? I would say, Lady Elliot, there's probably a good argument on that. So, because again, be honest with yourself. You don't have to be honest with anyone here. It doesn't matter, right? But if you haven't seen the change, and time is speeding up, and it's amazing to me how many people still fail to understand the potency, the creative power of faith. Without faith, there would be no religion at all. In fact, I can say without faith, there wouldn't be anything at all. And this is important because when you combine it with the knowledge of the occult, if you want to contravene with these other entities, have at it. They're there. Not my cup of tea, but I can give honor and respect for the fact that they exist. But if you're going to go into that arena, you have to understand they don't think like humans, which is the key for us. We need to think like spirits, because they have to think like humans. So yeah, there's something there, and it's faith. So I'm sitting and this just starts coming in, is that whole thing that I talked about on Thursday. And it's just very evident that if we truly got this, wow, every government would be afraid of us, be really afraid of us. But you see, people think that this is just esoteric bullshit. It's playtime, Well, let's just play with our imaginations. But never giving serious study or thought or application to why do you fail? Why do you consistently fail in your life? Why do you not achieve that which you want to do? Now, I'm not saying everybody, I'm just using it as a general term because there's many that are satisfied, that have figured it out. But I think we have an obligation that I think the more united it is in numbers of understanding, well, that becomes a whole movement, a force. And when you're the new kid on the block, the power brokers are going to go, so you think you can play with us, huh? Well, I think we can. And I know we can certainly change the rules. And you see, that's what they're afraid of. Because if humanity ever figures out and says, hey, listen, I don't have to accept those rules. Nope. It's like this platform. There's other alternatives that allow much more freedom. I told you we'll be making the progress over to that other platform. So, Magick. And I will put this forth. And if you want to debate me on this, I'd love to have you on. I contend the following. If you don't have the following firmly established in your mind, your spirit, however you want to define it, then I contend you're only practicing pseudo magic. I can tell you, I can testify this. There's very few people who truly believe in faith. Faith is believing in you. So I did this word thing and it was fun. I'm sitting here and it just comes to me and I'm thinking about this all weekend. It says, now faith, and you could simply say your faith is the assurance, title deed, confirmation of the things hoped for, divinely guaranteed, and the evidence of things not seen, the conviction of their reality. Faith comprehends as fact that which cannot be experienced by the five physical senses. And it's interesting, and this is just where I'm at. I mean, if you're not, but if you're have that interest of improving your life, becoming that master, preparing for not this one, but for the next one. If the next realm is the realm of eternity, I can't help but not think I ought to be using this time to help me over there. Store my treasures, This is so powerful. And I don't know. I had this conversation with the dragon, and it's one of the things humans don't take seriously. Now, those that do, they're the ones that experience life on a level, in a way that truly is magical. And what this simply is belief in you or your power. Your word is your power. Those of you, and us, you remember when we have experienced night paralysis. I think one of the most things that frustrated me was not the ability to speak. I could think, but it was important for me to be able to speak. Now, it's apparent that in the spirit realm, in the paranormal, that words count over there as well. And in fact, it could be said that there is the spoken word. So I broke this down, and I just thought I'd share it with the group here. So assurance, when these words become real to you, where there is the freedom from self-doubt. Isn't that a great definition for assurance? Positive declaration, a promise. It's confidence. It is certainty. Certainty in itself means absolute. No wavering. I don't care what the heck I see. It doesn't matter. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. I like the next one. Absolute being. Certain in the mind. Telling you what, you get this into your spirit, there's nothing that won't stop you. Nothing. And the next one, I found this one interesting. Confidence of mind, which leads to freedom from self-doubt. So assurance. Wow. And, when you think about this, you go, so now being ever in the moment, if you ever want to practice being in the moment, I was sharing with Lynn several times this weekend. I said, this is a moment. She looked at me and she said, what do you mean? I said, honey, this is a moment. This is a now. And it was beautiful. But now faith is, your faith is the assurance. I love that. Positive declaration, the promise, the confidence. The title deed is an interesting one because it's a word that, wow, you look at it and you think that, well, it's kind of self-explanatory, but it really has implications further than that. It's a legal document in word, legal in all realms. And this is self-evident because if there are, in fact, covenants, contracts with gods, entities, whoever, lords, princesses, whatever, and if you have this with spiritual entities, then what is binding in the covenant is binding both in this realm and in that realm, which has a different time. Time is much different. Legal in all realms, it is the evidence of a right. A right is given by the blood right. It's given by standing. And I sense that we come from different tribes in the spirit realm. Some other tribes excel at other points, but there are rights, privileges that we carry, I'm convinced, into this realm. It's what makes for the big treasure. The next one, absolute ownership. And in this word, when you pull these two words, absolute ownership, together, it's ironclad. There is no argument. There's no debate. Now, it's interesting, we can get into the question, and then who actually owns us? Someone is basically enacting absolute ownership over you, me, our country, our species. This title deed. You possess it. Well, there's evidence that could say that some have lost their title deed. My question, if you're listening to this, do you have your title deed? Do you have it to your spirit? Do you have it to your soul? How about your body? Do you have a covenant with your body? Being serious about this. If you're ailing from something, I'm asking you a legal question. Do you have a covenant with your body, or are you just occupying it? Who has absolute ownership of your body? Who has absolute ownership of your mind? Well, damn, Steiger, it's only Monday. This is getting awfully deep. Yeah. Best put on your big boy britches. So confirmation, that confirmation, the title deed, the confirmation of the assurances. I love this one. Very simple. Verification, final proof. Final proof. There's no other place to go. It's settled. I love this shit, man. I'll tell you what. This is what I find exciting about this realm. These things that I learned 4 decades ago, it's amazing how powerful they are. I watch them. See, it's been evident in my own life. And once you come out of the God spell, wow. I was pissed off. There was a good deal of time I was really just pissed off that I'd been robbed, stolen from, but I got it back. I hope you do too. And things. Yeah, that's one of those things. I always think of Dr. Seuss in the two things, the Addams Family. But things, folks, are what it's all about. We all have things. We all have things about us. We all own things. We like things. We want things. We see things. We hear things. Well, what the hell are we doing with this thing? What does it mean? I love this. Object. This realm or the next. Don't freaking matter. A thing is a fact. Again, absolute assurance. I like this one. Circumstance. Hadn't really thought about this. Looked up in one of the lexicons and I'm going, it's interesting to see this. And you look up in some of the older dictionaries. Circumstance. And I love that word, circumstance. These are magical words. They affect our lives. And the reason why we know they're magic, because most people don't even realize it's happening. Things, a concept. I invented a mobile payment system that didn't exist. It was a concept. It was part of the team that brought pay to the table to America. It was a concept. And the next one was even stranger when I found this one. As being a separate entity. Wow. Now, when I see or hear the word entity, I immediately think of a living being. There's all kinds of living beings, but that's when I think about it. And then I'm going, well, that entity, then, it's that full circle. One of the mentors in my life, good man, but he taught me something about circumstance. Because you see, I come from the street. No high school education. The age of 15, it was either I survive or I die. And being in the street, you're rough. You have to be. You have to be tough. Or you're going to get your ass kicked. And I had enough of that as a kid and determined I wasn't going to get my ass kicked. So, but the thing was, you get into a pattern. And this man who was well educated, he was couth, he was elegant, and he taught me the social graces. And the one thing he taught me about circumstance is that he said, you read the word, you take the stance within the circle, but never let the circle stop. Eventually, I learned I can control circumstances, even those that seem to be beyond my control. Here's the next one, hoped for. How many of you, what have you hoped for? Relationships? I mean, I hope that you have hope for something, even now. And the interesting thing about the phrase hope for is that it's past tense, always in the way that it is spoken. So if it's past tense, that means it's calling those things that be not as though they already are. That's magic. Already happened. Expecting something. Hope for is always positive. And it means little opportunity for failure. Now, why isn't that we don't always see what we hope for come to pass? Well, that's a good question, and I'll tell you why. Because most people give up. You see, hoped for is an effort. It's strenuous. It requires diligence. It requires discipline. You see, that's the thing about faith. If you don't treat it with the discipline of it, then it's just going to bring chaos in your life. But that's what it does. People believe into things. They'll believe into groups. They'll believe into dogmas. They'll believe into ideologies that are completely counter to their true nature. That's the power of this faith, this essence. And I look at it from an alchemy point. I can literally visualize what faith is. I can hold it in my hand. Divinely, I like this because this applies to every one of us. The word of power by a God. Now, you can put a big G in there, but it came out in this definition, the word of power. And I don't know if you're grasping this, but you can have the power of your word, but if you have the word of power, that trumps the power of the word. In fact, the power of the word is actually making reference, pointing to this, that's basically the highest point, the pinnacle. The word of your power. Now, if you have low power, then your word is going to be low powered. If you have confusion, your word is going to be confusion. Because you are a God. There's nothing sacrilegious about that. There's nothing, heretical about this at all. It's a fact. We are gods. And I think if more of us would recognize that fact, we could kick out some of the ones that have usurped a lot of power that they will be cut off of. Listen, if you have people who stop believing, let's say, in any of the religions, people wake up one morning and say, screw that. I had enough of that bullshit. I think I'm going to go this direction and take personal responsibility. And by the way, I'm a part of a species that I have to begin to accept the responsibility of being a fucking God. You are a fucking God. You don't believe it, do you? Did you just see that shadow thing pass right by? I just caught that. Interesting. So by the power of a God. Hey, you grasp this concept. Fuck Superman. Wouldn't stand a chance against you. No angel, no demon, no God. You're within the power of you. I like the acronym, delightful in every way. Of a special force, always pleasing. That's just far out. And then the guaranteed. defines as of absolute certainty. Absolute. No question. None. No debate. No comment. None of that. If you have a goal, you have to be just tenacious. Formally assured. And so that word formally comes from formality. It's a legal term. So it means that there's absolutely no objection. This has been formally assured to happen. Protect, guaranteed is to promise, and finally, it will happen. I just think that this is just far out stuff. I don't know about you. The scene today, people want to be entertained. Are you entertained? They don't, and they let the throes of life. And if it was different, we wouldn't be in the mess that we're in this world. The vast majority of people are just existing. Existing. How sad is that? Billions of spirit beings. They've lost their sovereignty. They've lost the knowledge. They've lost the understanding. There's no preference here. I was on the street when I was recovering from the meningitis and Lyme disease. It took years. When you lose everything from the pinnacle that you had worked hard to begin, you find out a lot. And I realize now I was using magic and didn't know it. It worked. Yeah. It's like, holy crap. And it does work. And you don't need a fucking religion behind it. If there's going to be a religion, make one of yourself. Then you can go out and make your peace contracts with those outside. But go within your own power. It's what a god and goddess does. And if you can't create here, what makes you think you're going to create over there? I'm tired of seeing fucking people in this group failing. This is time to stop playing. We're talking about your fucking life. There's power here to alter all of that. And I don't need no religion. Don't need no God, angel or demon. What I need to know is take responsibility for myself. When I die, and that day is forthcoming for all of us, and if there is an accounting, I'm taking this knowledge with me because I'm a God, and you will address me as a God. And if you don't believe it here, you ain't going to believe it over there, brother and sister. You just ain't. You got to start living it here, now. And there are aids that help us to learn about how to create, how to become personally responsible. So, we have the power within this group. And as we become better at this, and I'm no freaking, perfect on this. Hell no. My freaking list of failures compared to my successes? Are you freaking kidding me? But let me tell you something about my successes. All my failures combined never measure up to the success. And if I've done it once, I can do it again. And if I've done it twice, well, watch out. Me and Felix the cat, we're going to kick some ass. Hey, Grace. So anyway, as you can see, I'm not really into this. I am. That's just the compassion. I see forth the day when many of us are going to meet, and we'll have the stories to tell, because iron sharpens iron. And there's a lot of iron in this group. That's all I got to say, but it's good because, it's like, damn. But you know what? It's like, okay, yeah, that was a good thing, and, it's where you learn about love. If you truly get the idea that you are God, male, female, then love to me becomes the natural extension. So if I can combine with my faith the fact of the sovereignty that I am a God, not thee, but I am one. And that if I can make that through the understanding of at least of a love and the concept of what I see love as, love is, caring, that sacrificing, putting one needs over your own, forgiving something that would have hurt your feelings or whatever. Well, each time I make a little bit more stride at that, that's fucking magic. I mean, that's magic. And if I can learn to begin to use that in intense situations when I'm being challenged, that's sovereignty. Suddenly I'm hearing it in my head, I'm walking on sunshine. Oh, yeah. And it makes me feel good. So, yeah. What a great group. But I'm serious about this, folks. I mean, I thought about it all weekend long. It was just there. And I have enough wisdom to understand that, let me just say, relying on my intuition. It's like, okay, they're trying to tell you something, Steiger. Actually, I'm telling myself. And I listen. Hey, Rick, what's up? Colleen, good to see you as well. Aaron, Paul, Joe, how are you? So let's pick up on what we were talking, because this is what freaking magic is, isn't it? You remember we were talking about experiences, and in this book, the Book of Lies, the Guide to Magic and the Occult. As I read these things, I'm going, well, that ain't nothing new. I used to do that all the time. We used to have couples come over, and then we would break bread, we'd have food, and we would then gather. And it's so strange because the first thing we'd do is that we would form a circle. Everyone grabs each other's hand, and then we come in and we do an invocation. We conjure and then invoke, and to a greater degree bind and loose this thing we call the Holy Spirit. And as I look back, this was a cult. This is what magic is. This is why you have congregations. It goes back to covens. It goes back to that esoteric knowledge of wisdom. And so the guy here, he says that, just go out and look at everything as new. We're going to get into the next one. And so next, you go for a walk and interpret everything you see on the way as a message from the infinite to you. Now, this gets really interesting. It says, watch for patterns in the flights of birds. Make ocular sentences from the letters on car number plates. How about that one? I had never thought about that before. Look at the way buildings move against the skyline. Pay attention to noises on the street. And what's really going on is that it's causing us to block off the white noise and then get into the specific noise. I mean, how freaking cool is this? Graffiti sigils. So the knowledge that we got years ago going teaching on sigils, I mean, hello, Charlie and Terry, how are you? This is just fabulous. It aids me every day now. And it's fun when I wear, I have a shirt and a hoodie with Lucifer's sigil on there. People have no idea what it is. I actually had some woman say, that's very pleasing. I thought to myself, lady, if you know what you just said, voices cut into rapid, almost subliminal commands and pleas. Listen between the lines. Walk as far and for as long as you feel comfortable in this open state. The more aimless, the more you walk for the pleasure of the pure experience, the further into magical consciousness you will be immersed. And when I read this first time, it immediately drew me back to the times when I used to travel quite often to New York City. And there really isn't any place like New York City. It's an experience, particularly back in the days before, COVID and all the shutdowns and what have you. And New York City was kind of like Las Vegas, but there's an intensity in New York, particularly if you're around the financial district. But you see people in a million conversations. Some they're having with others, some they're having with themselves. And it always was kind of almost a sensory overload as I'm going back over in Lexington and Fifth, just things that I would see. And if you're like me, when you go to Vegas, places particularly like Las Vegas, and they're designed for empaths, Vegas can be just a not so good fun experience. You have to learn how to shut that off because, as an empath, you're bombarded with it. And then of course, one of the things I can say as being empathic, this kind of knowledge and understanding just heightens those empathic abilities, the intuitives. All right, reading about magic is like reading about sex. It will get you horny for the real thing, but it won't give you nearly as much fun. Magic consciousness resembles state of light meditation. I like this. Hypergonic. That's a word. Pre-sleep trance or alpha wave brain activity. Applied magic is about making things happen and performing the necessary experiments. In these endeavors, we do not need to know how magic works, only that it does. We prove this by doing the work, recording the results, and sharing our information with other magicians. This group here is, if you were to define this would be absolutely synonymous with what we do here. I've learned so much from y'all. People say it's the other way around, but it's reciprocated back and forth. That's what makes it so real. That's what makes it magical. Theoretical magic is all the mad ideas you come up with to explain what's happening to you. Applied magic is what makes them happen. I love that. Of course, we know about keeping a journal. Have mine over there. Some do, some don't. I would say, make sure to write something down. It's always fun to go back and look at what happened. For instance, when we were practicing money magic, do you know it came in for us? In a very freaking big way. So if someone was to ask me recently, they said, do you really believe this? And I said, yeah. But you know what made it work? I'm convinced it was my faith. I plugged into it. Had the craziest dream again the other night. I was telling Lynn about it, being in this building that never ends. Anyway, I had two keys. And we'll talk more about this probably tomorrow, but I'm starting to figure that out too. All right. It says, make note of everything from the intent to fulfillment. Make notes of dates, times, moods, success, failures. Study yourself the way a hunter studies prey. Exploit your own weaknesses to create desired changes within you. Now, we don't talk enough about this, and we might want to get into this tomorrow, Trina and Jenny, and banishing. Now, when I was in the Pentecostal, denomination, sect, cult, whatever, I had some really good teaching on binding and loosing. And this is why I tell you, particularly the New Testament in many different ways, powerful magic. Because it was in those lessons, those studies, that I understood and my consciousness opened up to there's this other realm. And I can bind these creatures. My fucking words can bind them. Holy crap, Batman. And then, when I can loose them, I can banish them. Is that a witch? Is that a master magician? Is that a wizard? Is that a sorcerer? Hell yeah. Banishing is a way of preparing a space for ritual use. There are many elaborate banishing rituals available, ranging across the full spectrum of pomposity, like that, circumstance. I like theater. You can't have good theater unless you have really good props, right? Thinking of banishing as the installation of virus protection software. The banishing is a kind of vaccination against infection from beyond the ethereal realm. Because, that's why none of us will be going to heaven, at least not in the concept of what many people think of heaven. We're the virus. Like, hell no, we ain't letting you through here. Most banishings are intended to surround the magician with an impenetrable shield of will. This usually takes the form of an acknowledgement of the elemental powers at the 4 cardinal points of the compass. Some like to visualize themselves surrounded and protected by columns of light or by 4 angels. Any protective image will do. Spaceships, superheroes, warrior, monks, whatever. I don't bother with any of that, and usually visualize a bubble radiating outwards from my body into space all around, above, and below me as far as I think I'll need it. The spear. And a lot of this stuff, I just kind of grinned to myself, and I said, man, were we being guided or what? That's that favor. That's all I got to tell you. Favor works. You speak it, you write it, you believe it, and it manifests even when you don't even know about it. It's a fact. Why the need for protection? Remember that you may be opening some part of yourself to an influx of information from non-ordinary, apparently other quote-unquote sources. If you practice ceremonial magic and attempt to summon god forms or spirit things, will undoubtedly happen. Let me repeat this. If you are into ceremonial magic, you probably already know this. You've opened the portal. They're here. They're around you. How are y'all doing? Good to see you. Yeah. Yeah, you can go ahead and leave. Take a smoke break. It's fine. As your foundation will be tested, there's always the danger of obsession and madness. As magical work progresses, you will be forced into confrontations with your deepest, darkest fears and desires. It's easy to become scared, paranoid, and may I say, stupid. Stay fluid, clinging to no one self-image, and maintain your sense of humor at all times. Genuine laughter is the most effective banishing ritual available. Bam, mic drop. Been telling y'all that. Laugh. Laugh. You ever feel like there's someone, oppressive power? Tell them, how does a chicken get across the other side of the road? If they're a spirit that's been around, they should have an answer. Or as I heard one person say years ago, do the knock-knock joke. And if they answer, well, you've made connection. That's what you came for, right? Again, study yourself the way a hunter studies prey. Exploit your own weaknesses to create desired change within yourself. Banishing reminds you that no matter how many gods you talk to, no matter how many fluorescent realms you visit, you still have to come home, take a shit, and be able to cook dinner, water the plants, and most importantly, talk to people without scaring the crap out of them. When you complete any magical work, ground yourself with a good laugh, a good meal, a good shag. In other words, hey, do the thing that's naturally done, and run or something else that connects you with the mundane world. Banishing after your ritual is over works as a decompression back into the normal world of bills, bus stops, and job satisfaction. The magician's job is not to get lost in the other world, but to bring back its treasures for everyone to play with. We'll pick up on sigils because we know some shit about sigils. I like this guy's writing. I mean, yeah, it's rough, but it's honest. It always makes me think, so if spirits can talk, ghosts, apparitions, whatever you want to call them, if they can talk, it appears they can have sex. Do they eat? And if they eat, do they have to, evacuate their bowels? And if you're telling me ghosts don't have bowels, I beg to differ with you. Apparently they do, or at least they're full body. So what, you're going to tell me they had a mind, but they ain't got, I don't know, no sphincter? I don't know. Hey, Coke Queen, how are you? Mary Wins, hello, darling. Good to see you. Stephen Parks, good to see you. Why the narcissist crossed the road? Because it was a boundary. Why not? Folks, this is good stuff. Hey, we can got other things. We got the shadow people to finish up, and we got some NDEs. I got one that's going to be really interesting. But yeah, you just gotta love this. So I hope, if anything, I imparted a gift to you. I really want everyone in here to change. If there's something lacking in your life, speak it into existence, calling those things that be not as though they are. That's magic, folks. That's the highest form of magic I know of. It trumps all others, chaos, ceremonial, whatever. Calling those things that be not as though they are. We are fabulous gods and goddesses. It's an honor and privilege to be amongst y'all. That's all I can say. It may be, Joe, that ectoplasm just may be crap. I mean, isn't that how Ghostbusters showed it? Yeah, I don't know. So, Grace, what'd you say? We do have to come back to reality, but we can mix the unreality with everyday life. Sweetheart, that is absolutely correct. Guy, health, wealth, and wisdom, and teach others to do the same. It's pretty simple. It is, isn't it? And even that's why I always circle back on this. None of us have gotten it down perfect. None of us. I need all of y'all. I mean, it's just the way it is. I don't know if I'll ever get it completely right because I enjoy being around other beings of the same frequency, the same light. That'd be y'all. So, all right, we will see y'all tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in. Be with the ladies. And again, it's a joy. It really is. I like these sessions. They uplift me, And I think the gift of edification is a gift that shows just how divine we truly are. We lift one another up. Wow. Can't go wrong with a group like that. Truman, thank you. Yes, free thought. That's what we gods do. Yeah, we love it. Jan, right back at you, darling. Elderberry, thank you. All right, until we meet again, Tori, good to see you as well. New Yoda, I could just continue to do this. Lost in Space. Much love, everyone. Until